I'm sorry, Helen. I should have told you before now, but I couldn't find the words. Bracing herself for what was to come, Helen clasped her hands in her lap. Tell me. Her aunt's attention was taken by two German soldiers talking angrily outside their front door. Have a look and see if you can work out what that's about, her aunt said, pointing down the hallway. Helen ran to the living room and looked outside, slinking backwards when one of the uniformed men turned to her. She wished she understood German like her close friend and neighbour, Peggy Hamel. Seeing one of the men indicate the houses opposite theirs, Helen understood what the fuss was about and returned to her aunt. It seems that someone has painted a V on the front doors of two houses across the road, she said, unsure whether to be excited or concerned about any repercussions. There's been quite a bit of that going on around the place, I gather, her aunt said thoughtfully. She gave a wry grin. I wish I had the courage to do something similar. She began coughing again, and Helen winced to hear the rasping. I'm glad you don't. A loud bang on the front door made her jump. I think we're about to be asked about the vandalism across the road. Bobby began to cry. It's all right, Poppet, Helen soothed, hugging him. Another loud bang was joined by an order to open the door. Sylvia began to get up, but Helen stopped her. No, you stay here with Bobby, I'll speak to them. Her heart pounded heavily in her chest, and she swallowed the nausea, threatening to reach her throat as she opened the door with a shaky hand. Yes? A sharp-featured officer of about 35 glared down at her. You are the inhabitant of this house? Yes, I live here with my aunt and son. She tried not to look at the deep scar running from one side of his mouth almost to his ear, and wondered what might have caused it. We will speak to them. Without waiting for Helen to say anything, he stepped into the hallway, forcing her to move backwards out of his way. They are there? Speaking loudly to warn her aunt, Helen indicated the kitchen. We're through here, if you'll follow me. She heard the front door being closed and the heavy jackboots as the two uniformed men followed her through the house. Helen widened her eyes at her aunt, who seemed far calmer than she was at that moment. Bobby stared up at the men, seeming too astonished at them to cry. What is your reason for forcing your way into my home? Sylvia snapped. Helen went to stand next to her aunt, shocked by her attitude to the soldiers. I am Hauptmann Wilhelm Schneider, and this is Lieutenant Klaus Muller. We wish you to tell us if you saw the traitor who painted the V's on the doors opposite your house. Helen didn't dare look at her aunt, but immediately insisted she had seen nothing. I didn't notice it last evening, Sylvia said, only a slight quaver in her voice. I therefore presume it must have been done under cover of darkness. And we were in bed by 10 o'clock last night, Helen added. I only noticed it this morning when I heard you both outside and went to see what the fuss was about. Fuss? The taller of the two officers glared at her, causing Helen to shiver. The person will be caught. His certainty made her fear for whoever had done it. And they will be treated accordingly. Seemingly satisfied with their inquiry, they turned on their heels and left the house. Helen ran after them, closed the door and locked it. She went back to the kitchen and sat heavily, breathless from shock at having the hated officers in her home. Well, that was rather frightening, Sylvia said in a playful voice as she smiled at Bobby. Wasn't it, Poppet? Helen watched the concern fade from her little boy's face and was grateful to her aunt for her reaction. She drank a mouthful of her cooling tea and recalled what they were talking about before they had been interrupted by the Wehrmacht. Don't think I've forgotten about our earlier conversation. Her aunt smiled. I had hoped you might have done, she sighed. You'll be pleased to know that I have been to the doctor. A few times, in fact. She picked up her cup, blew on the tea, then changing her mind, lowered it again. Raised voices filtered into the room from outside before they heard the banging on the Hamels' door at number 3. Sylvia scowled. What did the doctor say, Auntie? He's done tests, and it's not TB, thankfully, but he prescribed some medicine and said I need to take things a little easier. Helen wanted to believe